These are all Stephen King monsters explained, from cosmic horrors to killer dogs and everything in between. Let's dive right in.
Pennywise. There's something wrong with the clown in the drain. His head moves like it's not attached right. His eyes go in two different directions, and his smile looks like it's been practicing on raw meat, probably without consent. Pennywise shows up with balloons and carnival colors, but behind the makeup is a shape-shifting cosmic parasite that feeds on fear. Not metaphorical fear, actual sweaty, heartbeat in your mouth terror. The more scared you get, the better it tastes. That's why he plays with you first, like a horror-themed improv show. One second he's a rotting leper, the next he's a giant bird. Then suddenly your dead sibling's crawling out of a photo like it wants its allowance back. Every 27 years, he rolls out of the sewers like a limited-time horror promotion, then eats a bunch of kids, wrecks the neighborhood, and vanishes before anyone remembers to cancel the subscription. The town forgets. The bodies stay missing, and the cycle restarts. What makes Pennywise worse is that he doesn't just kill you, he breaks reality, makes people forget what they saw, makes adults look away. And if you try to fight back, you realize the clown isn't even real. He's just a mask for something older, deeper, and hungrier. Some say his true form is the deadlights, a place your brain can't even survive looking at. And if you see a clown smiling at you from a storm drain, don't wave back.
It's kind of nostalgic. I remember watching both It movies when they dropped. The first with that perfect small town dread, the second with the whole cosmic horror reveal. I love them. Pennywise isn't just scary, he's like childhood trauma with a balloon budget. Honestly, who knew clown insurance should have been a real policy?
Christine. Christine looks like a car, but she moves like a jealous ex with a driver's license and a hit list. She's a bright red 1958 Plymouth Fury with tail fins sharp enough to slice confidence in half. From the outside, she's a collector's dream. Cherry red, spotless chrome, and not a dent in sight. But this dream comes with a body count and a serious case of jealousy. Once you sit behind her wheel, it's over. You belong to her now, and she doesn't like to share. The car fixes herself when scratched. She plays 1950s love songs to warn you she's mad. And if anyone messes with her owner, they don't get a second chance. One minute you're walking home, the next you're getting run over by a car with no driver, no lights, and no chill. Christine kills, but she starts with a smile and the keys already in your hand. She makes you think she's all you need. Friends? Who needs them? Girlfriend? She's in the way. Christine turns her owner into someone else, angrier, colder, and very into murder by vehicle. Even when crushed and burned, she finds a way back. Because this car isn't powered by gas, she runs on obsession. So if you ever find a vintage Plymouth with perfect paint, engines still purring, and nobody asking questions, walk away. Or you might end up on her playlist, right between Baby I Love You and Highway to Hell.
Christine is basically Tinder on wheels. Looks perfect, ruins your life, and somehow still reels you back in. The whole jealous car angle is wild, but it hits that 1950s paranoia about machines turning on us. Funny how Tesla fans today act the same way, blindly loyal, ignoring the red flags until the thing locks the doors and drives itself into a wall. Christine's lesson? Never trust anything that loves you back with an engine.
Cujo. Cujo didn't fall from space or crawl out of a crypt. He was just a dog. A big, friendly Saint Bernard who chased rabbits and loved kids. Then he got bit by a bat, and something in his brain snapped like a leash coming loose. The rabies hit fast. No growl, no warning, just drool, heat, and pain. The Cujo everyone loved got buried under fever and madness. He didn't turn evil, but he turned into something worse. A good boy with no idea he was dying, lashing out at anything that moved. Most horror monsters stalk forests or haunted mansions. Cujo parks himself in a sunny driveway and turns a broken down car into a coffin. A mother and her son sit trapped inside for days. No food, no water, and Cujo circling like a shark on four legs. What makes it worse is how ordinary it all is. No demons, no spells, just one unlucky bite and a neighborhood dog becomes a four-legged disaster. By the time he's finally put down, he's barely recognizable. Not a monster, not a pet, just a fever with teeth. A tail wag, some drool, and a friendly face. That's all it takes to let your guard down. Then the barking starts, and it's already too late.
Cujo hurts in a different way. You know, he's not some cosmic parasite or cursed relic. He's just a good boy gone bad. That's what makes it sting. Horror snuck in through something safe, fluffy, and supposed to be loyal. It's almost like the trust update on your phone turning into spyware overnight. One minute it's man's best friend, the next it's holding you hostage in a parking lot. Ordinary life weaponized? That's scarier than any sewer clown.
The mist creatures. The fog rolled in like bad news with a polite tone. Then something reached out and tore the power lines down. In the mist, the monsters come through a rip in reality, like the world sneezed and opened the wrong dimension. A military experiment opens a rift, and out comes the worst ideas nature never had. Tentacles with teeth, spider things that lay eggs in people, flying beasts with stingers the size of knitting needles. It's like a zoo designed by nightmares and funded by poor decisions. They don't knock or warn. Instead, they just wait in the mist, invisible until you're too far from the store and too close to regret. A trip to the parking lot turns into a survival test. Step outside and you're either dragged screaming into the fog or pulled apart like a rotisserie chicken. But the monsters outside aren't even the worst part. Inside, panic grows fast. People start worshiping the apocalypse, blaming each other, and deciding who gets sacrificed next. The creatures rip skin, but the humans break souls. And in the end, the fog doesn't lift until it's too late. The monsters go quiet, help arrives, and whatever you just did to survive stays with you longer than the stingers.
The Mist basically asks, what's scarier, a tentacle dragging you off screen or your neighbor suddenly cosplaying as a cult leader? The creatures are nightmare fuel, sure, but the real punch is how fast normal people crack under pressure. It's Lord of the Flies with extra fangs. And that ending, the military strolls in minutes too late, like they just got lost on Google Maps. Sometimes the apocalypse isn't about monsters, it's about how fast we self-destruct.
Randall Flagg. Randall Flagg doesn't kick down the door. He shows up smiling, asks how your day's going, and by the time you realize something's off, your town has a gallows and a dress code. He goes by many names. The Walking Dude, the Dark Man, Walter O'Dim, whatever version shows up, it's always bad news, wrapped in charisma. Calling him a villain feels too small. He's more like a walking infection with charm. He spreads through towns, books, and universes, always stirring chaos, always making people think it was their idea. In The Stand, he builds a post-apocalyptic Vegas full of neon, nukes, and strict loyalty. In The Dark Tower, he's a shapeshifter who bends reality and whispers in the ears of monsters. One minute he's handing out candy, the next he's burning cities down for fun, and somehow people still follow him. Flagg doesn't need to stab you, he lets you want the knife. He turns fear into policy, cruelty into structure, and watches it all collapse with the satisfaction of someone who's done this before. Some say he's a demon, others think he's just a guy who never died properly. Either way, if someone strolls into town offering hope with a creepy grin and an American flag pin, don't shake his hand, shake your survival instincts. The Overlook Hotel. Some hotels give you a mint on the pillow. The Overlook gives you hallucinations and a complimentary breakdown. Then it shows you something you'll never unsee, like a party that never ends and no one ever leaves. On paper, it's just a hotel in the mountains. Big windows, fancy ballroom, blood elevator, the usual. But once you're inside, time starts to slip. Hallways stretch, rooms rearrange, and the ghosts don't act like ghosts. They serve drinks, give advice, and politely suggest you murder your family. The place feeds on pain like it's room service. The more trauma you bring in, the faster it unpacks. Jack Torrance wanted to write a novel. The hotel gave him an axe instead. His son had psychic powers. The Overlook tried to use them like a Wi-Fi signal from the beyond. It's never just one ghost. The hotel itself is the monster. Everything inside is part of it. The twins, the bathtub lady, the bear costume guy you should never Google, all pieces of one slow, smirking breakdown. And when winter ends, it resets the table, makes the beds, and waits for the next broken family to check in.
The Overlook is peak Airbnb from hell. It's not haunted, it is the haunting. What makes it brutal is how it doesn't just scare you. It uses you like a hotel loyalty program where the perks are insanity and murder. And the ghosts? They're less spooky specters, more customer service reps from beyond. Honestly, Jack didn't stand a chance. Writer's block is bad, but writer's block with a blood elevator, that's career ending.
The Langoliers. The Langoliers, a group of plane passengers, wakes up mid-flight and realizes everyone else has vanished. No crew and no pilots, just a plane full of leftovers and confusion. When they land, the airport is silent. Clocks tick, but there's no sound. Food tastes like dust. The world feels expired. That's when they find out where they really are, the past. Not metaphorically, they're literally stuck in yesterday, and something's coming to clean it up. Enter the Langoliers. floating meatballs with chainsaw teeth. They chew through time like it's bubble wrap, devouring everything behind the present moment. Buildings, landscapes, even light itself. They float in, buzzing like bone saws, and tear through the leftovers of time like cleanup crew from a nightmare. And if you're still standing there when they arrive, you go on the menu. They don't talk and they don't think, they're just hunger on autopilot. The only way to escape is by flying forward in time, which sounds smart until your pilot's blind, your plane's glitching, and your only guide is a kid with psychic tourism tips. Time travel stories usually come with paradoxes. This one comes with teeth. Rose the Hat. Rose the Hat looks like she should be selling crystals at a farmer's market. Instead, she's leading a roaming death cult that feeds on the souls of terrified children. In Dr. Sleep, Rose runs a group called the True Knot, a gang of seemingly harmless RV people who don't age, don't die, and survive by torturing kids with psychic powers. The more the kid screams, the sweeter the steam. So they take their time, because the more the child suffers, the stronger the steam. That's what they call the life force, and they inhale it like it's gourmet oxygen. Rose charms people with a grin, a top hat, and that cool aunt energy, but under the scarf and soft voice, she's something else. She can read minds, track people across states, and trap you inside your own thoughts like a psychic bear trap, and she does it with style. The True Knot drives from town to town, hiding in plain sight like a family road trip powered by child screams. By the time you notice the van, it's already too late. Rose stands still and smiles, like someone who already knows how the story ends. Because when the steam runs dry, she always knows where to find more.
Rose the Hat is basically if your quirky aunt who sells sage bundles decided to go full serial killer MLM. The whole psychic RV road trip vibe is chilling because it hides in plain sight. They look like your neighbors on holiday, not soul vacuums on wheels, and the steam thing, that's just emotional farming, turning trauma into a fuel source. She's proof that the scariest monsters don't snarl, they smile, offer you tea, and already own your mind.
The Crimson King. In the Dark Tower series, he's the thing behind the curtain, the final boss of Stephen King's multiverse. A being so evil, he doesn't want to rule the world, he wants to break it like a cheap toy. Every dimension, every timeline, every reality, gone. Just static and dust where creation used to be. He hides in the shadows for most of the series, sending others to do the dirty work. Flag, vampires, low men in yellow coats, even robot bears with satellite dishes for eyes. And while everyone else fights for power, the Crimson King wants silence. No good, no evil, just collapse. Visually, he's a mess. Sometimes he's a shapeshifter, sometimes he's a red-skinned old man with glowing eyes, sitting on a balcony at the edge of existence and throwing literal snitches at people. Think cosmic horror meets angry retirement home escapee. By the time you see him, it's already too late. He's the type of villain who doesn't deliver speeches, he unravels the plot. He's less of a character and more of a cosmic software bug that wants to uninstall reality. And when the Crimson King stares at the Dark Tower, the spine of the universe, he doesn't see beauty, mystery, or meaning, he just sees something that hasn't collapsed yet, a problem he plans to fix. The Deadlights. The Deadlights aren't a creature, they're a place, or a force, or maybe just what happens when reality gives up. They live outside our universe, in a space that doesn't have up or down, only madness. When Pennywise drops the act and shows you what he really is, this is what you see. 3 spinning orbs of light, flickering like they're blinking in a language your brain was never meant to understand. You don't die when you look into them, instead you just stop working. People who see the Deadlights get stuck, frozen and staring, smiling for no reason, like someone unplugged their soul. One character in It falls into them for 28 years and wakes up with a scream like her mind had to boot back up from scratch. Another stares for just a second and drops dead with a grin. Even Pennywise doesn't fully control the Deadlights, he's just their delivery guy, a cosmic mascot for something so far beyond human that your eyeballs alone are an invitation to break. They're the part of fear that has no form, the part that feels true but doesn't make sense. And once you've seen them, even blinking feels risky, like your brain might misfire and never find its way home again.
The Deadlights are pure nightmare fuel because they're not a monster, they're reality's blue screen of death. Pennywise is scary because he's a clown, but the Deadlights are scary because they're nothing. Just raw cosmic code your brain isn't patched to run. It's the same dread as staring into a black hole or the ocean at night. You're not afraid of what you see, you're afraid of what's looking back and might erase you by accident.
The Tommyknockers. Nobody saw the spaceship fall from the sky, they just started digging and found something that shouldn't have been there for a long time. And when the town of Haven, Maine found it, things started to get shiny. In the Tommyknockers, it starts with inventions. A soda machine that reads your mind, a typewriter that writes by itself, flashy stuff built by people who flunked high school science, now suddenly channeling alien brilliance like it's on tap. But the smarter they get, the sicker they look. Teeth fall out, hair thins, skin goes gray, and nobody sleeps anymore. But the ship underground hums like it remembers something, and every day it remembers more, and it's turning the townspeople into something else. They stop caring about each other, stop asking questions. They just tinker, obey, and hum and sync like they've got Wi-Fi from another galaxy beaming directly into their skulls. The Tommyknockers, whatever they are, don't invade with weapons, they use curiosity. They let you pick up the shovel, open the hatch, and ruin yourself in the name of progress. And by the time someone finally realizes the truth, the town's already gone. The people are hollowed out, the tech is glowing, and the ship is smiling, not with a mouth, but with the silence that comes after everyone's changed. The True Knot. They look like retirees in RVs, the kind who drink decaf, wear matching windbreakers, and clog up the interstate. But the True Knot doesn't stop for gas or postcards, they stop for children. These creatures are psychic parasites. They look human, they act human, but they live off pain. Specifically, the pain of kids with the shine has the same power as Danny Torrance had in The Shining. The more the child suffers, the stronger the steam, and the longer the knot survives. You won't see them crowding around, they follow quietly, one by one, like polite shadows with bad intentions. They gain your trust, smile too long, and when it's time, they pin you down and pull the steam out slow. Some scream, some go silent. Either way, the knot breathes deep and keeps moving. Rose the Hat leads them, elegant, ruthless, and terrifying. But the rest aren't far behind. They've been doing this for centuries, and when one of them dies, the rest gather around to inhale the last breath like it's the last cigarette at the apocalypse. You won't see them coming, you won't believe what they are, but by the time your kid goes missing, the RV is already 3 states away and the back seat smells like dust and something older than death.
The True Knot is creepy because it's basically a vampire retirement club disguised as a road trip. They don't sparkle, they don't bite necks, they siphon pain like it's craft beer at a tasting. The RV aesthetic is genius too. Nothing's less suspicious than retirees in matching windbreakers. It's also a brutal flip of Americana. Freedom of the open road, but powered by child streams instead of diesel. That's what makes them so unnerving. Predators hiding in plain sight.
Tak. In Desperation and the Regulators, Tak is a disembodied entity trapped in an ancient mine. Not a ghost, not a demon, more like a virus built from pure malice. Once someone opens the mine, it slips out and finds a host. Tak skips the heroes, it finds the ones already cracking and makes the break permanent. He looks for the angry ones, a sheriff with a grudge, a kid with too much power. It slips into their heads and wears them like puppets, twisting their faces into grins that don't fit and making their words echo with something that shouldn't be speaking English. When Tak moves in, things get strange fast. Dolls come to life, animals mutate, whole towns turn into haunted cartoons, people vanish into walls or explode into dust. Taking over is just step one. What comes after looks more like a one-man show with casualties, and if it gets bored, it finds a new host or digs deeper. Because Tak's favorite game is wearing your skin until it breaks, then finding someone else and doing it louder. Some monsters want food, others want fear. Tak wants expression. It wants to turn your world into its own personal art project, and you're the canvas. Gage Creed. Gage Creed wasn't supposed to come back, but his parents dug past grief and into something much worse. In Pet Sematary, Gage is a toddler, sweet, giggly, too young to tie his shoes, then he runs into the road. The truck hits fast, the grief hits harder, and when his father finds the ancient burial ground behind the pet cemetery, he does what every parent wishes they could, bring his kid back. Except Gage doesn't come back right. He walks, he talks, he even smiles, but it's not him behind the eyes anymore. It's something cruel stuffed inside a child-sized body. He starts whispering secrets no one told him. He starts cutting people open. And worst of all, he laughs while doing it. The horror isn't just the killing, it's the voice. High-pitched, playful, asking if you want to play right before the scalpel goes in. He doesn't make a sound, just walks like a toddler learning to balance with murder on his to-do list. He's death in a bedtime outfit, and the only thing worse than watching him die is realizing what came back was never your son at all.
Gage Creed is the gut punch Reminder that horror isn't always about monsters from space. Sometimes it's grief weaponized. The scariest part isn't the scalpel or the creepy giggle. It's the thought that love can blind us into digging up something we should have let stay buried. A toddler turned into a predator proves that innocence, once corrupted, is the sharpest blade of all. The analyst did an amazing job with this video. The link's in the description. Next time, let's just say we'll step into shadows you thought you understood. Stay nerdy.